I'll give you a second to get settled.
All right.
And shout out to Metro 3 for covering our hearings. When I go back and watch them, you make me look good, so thank you so much. This is ITS and Metro 3 operating budget hearing. We have Director Durbin, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We very much appreciate the Council's time today. With me today, I have on my left Margaret Keck, our Assistant Director for Communications and Infrastructure Services, and Greg Nicholson on my right, who is our Finance Division Manager. And I've also got other members of the ITS executive team in the back joining us. And like the Council Lady, I also want to thank the staff of the Metro Nashville Network who are broadcasting the budget hearings live on the Metro Nashville Network channel, streaming them live right now on nashville.gov, and posting these budget hearings to Metro's YouTube channel tomorrow. And then to start out by answering the question of the hour, yes, our leadership team can and will work with the budget as it has presented to you. Members of the Metro Council have heard me many times over the years state that ITS is a service organization that exists only to serve the technology needs of 59 other Metro departments, agencies, and elected officials. While we are not directly providing immunizations, checking out the library books, or teaching Head Start classes, our 148 employees are directly supporting those within Metro who are doing those things through a variety of technology services. We deploy and operate network, telephone, and internet connectivity to hundreds of Metro locations. We lead the governance for Metro's information security program and provide technical safeguards as we work with our departments and agencies to strive to protect Metro's data and systems. We operate Metro's primary and backup data centers and the core infrastructure located within them. We create and broadcast video content through the Metro Nashville Network. We implement and run software systems that are used across Metro, including the EBS financial and HR system, our Exchange email system, Hub Nashville 311, and Nashville.gov, just to name a few of the systems we manage. And finally, we support the direct computing needs of Metro staff by managing and keeping up to date 5,500 desktops, 2,100 laptops, and over 600 tablets right now. So these 148 employees perform their duties with pride and with true dedication to serving the public, with little public recognition for the critical work that they do. So I want to thank those professionals who aren't in the room as well. And with that, I very personally appreciate the opportunity to work with each of you and am happy to answer questions.
Well, seeing no committee members. Councilman Cooper at large.
At large. Thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank you, Keith, so much for being here. You would comment just a little bit. I don't want to get too much into capital spending, but we're funding 4% money out of the operating budget. So if you talk about your 4% needs, since IT is a famously expensive field, and where you are and your requested 4% needs in this past year and maybe looking out in the future.
So to speak to that, the way we do our capital budgeting is we look at all the projects across our divisions in support of existing programs as well as with the departments and agencies who we support. We then take those, roll them all up and together in a proposed capital budget that then we work with the finance department to help determine which are eligible for 4% and which are strictly capital. So right off the top of my head, we have things that we will put into 4%. Such as upgrades to the 800 megahertz public safety radio system is the number 3 item on our list. Security updates for network devices, because obviously replacement of existing equipment and systems is 4% eligible. We have an asset management system upgrade preparation in concert with the Public Works Department. We have Other forms of support for such as Microsoft's enterprise licensing agreement, which we cover 9,000 employees with that, and that is also 4% eligible. So the types of things we support are broad. They cover many departments and agencies, but then there are also some of those, like the Public Works example, that are targeted. And I can get you more information on the specifics should you be interested.
But so the short answer to be supportive of your department in a status quo environment is to help with 4%.
4% is very helpful, and we've been very fortunate in the past that both the administration and council has been very helpful in that regard.
And one quick question. You all, the election commission falls under your scope of services, really? Or you're consultants, you advise them, or?
We are consultants and advise them in some ways, and then we perform some base level services in others. So if you're looking at a grid, we provide things like the network traffic, we provide the PCs, we provide the servers, but they have staff that is actually working with the voting machines themselves that are not PC equipment. They're also managing the software by which the votings or tallies and things like that.
Well, this was a long way of asking really a hacking question. One, with all these elections this year, are we detecting any hacking going on in that space, and then hacking in general in the metro space, since you've got a dynamic problem on your hands?
It is a dynamic problem. So if you follow the news, the national news, I mean, there are obviously concerns at a national level on local election hacking. Fortunately, and I've shared this with the Election Commission, the Department of Homeland Security has just created a new local election commission information sharing organization that we have urged them to join. And as a part of that, there are also some specifically targeted services for election commissions. Why go it alone and use services of people like ours who we do broad security, but if you can get some targeted help to your industry, in my mind, I'm very strongly urging them to take that. Otherwise, it is a very difficult environment from an information security perspective. We monitor and deflect millions, literally millions and millions of attempts to infiltrate the network on a daily basis. We turn away millions of spam emails. Most of the emails that I think it's the latest statistic is about 70% of the email that we get are spam or potentially have malware. And so we take a multi-layered, kind of an onion-like approach with multiple layers of protection, technical controls, physical controls, policy, and then we work with departments and agencies to communicate that, you know, it's not the IT department that can save you, it's that each department head as well as each employee has a real stake in that. And so that's a large part of what we do. Our Chief Information Security Officer, John Griffey, does an excellent job of coordinating those activities for us.
Thank you so much, Councilman. Councilman Anthony Davis.
Thank you, Chair. And Keith, thank you for doing such a great job as always. Appreciate you being able to work under kind of the status quo here and keep things rolling forward. Just wanted to say that, and then one quick question. I was wondering about Metro Wi-Fi. I know I didn't know if we're still expanding that or anything. I know I find my phone kind of logging on more places that I drive by. So I was just, if there's any quick expansion plans or if that's still growing.
So we actually have two Metro wireless networks. There is, well, actually more than two, but two that are relevant here. We have one that is the Metro Employee Wireless Network, and so as we expand out to new facilities and as facilities renovate, we're going in and adding services to them as a matter of course, and those things are funded through the development capital projects for those facilities or for those renovations. Then we also have a small budget for the Metro Public Wi-Fi that we have rolled out to most all libraries, most police locations, most metro services location, county court clerks sites. And as last count, I think we had just over 90 of those, and we are looking to expand that, though obviously in this budget situation that reduces our ability to do so. But from my last understanding, we have covered most of the things that are in the general categories that we set out to cover in phase one. The next phase, which is a much broader phase that is yet to even be, we haven't yet to even request funding for, is their request for things like blanket Centennial Park in Wi-Fi. Well, that's not in the cards now, because then you get, well, let's blanket Shelby Park and let's Watkins Park, and so we're sticking to with what we've got at this point.
Thank you so much, Councilman Davis. Council Lady Henderson.
Thank you, Chair Vercher. Thank you, Director. Councilman Cooper asked my question about the data hacking, but I did just want to commend you and thank you, because when that happened, I guess, to the city of Atlanta, I was thinking about that, and I had several constituents email me, and you responded with a very detailed reply, kind of strategically how you all deal with that from a staff perspective and systems perspective, so I appreciate that. I wanted to thank you also for now televising or filming our council committee meetings. I think that's something that's very important to this council from a transparency perspective. And now added, just for the community's awareness, you are now filming our Parks Board meetings, which our Parks and Libraries Committee thought was very important for public transparency. So thank you for all of that. I appreciate the staff time and everything that went into doing those. Question as it relates to staffing for our city work system, like as we've migrated out of Kiva and just kind of process management related to our sidewalk legislation and looking at the implementation of that, we've had some challenges in that what I assumed would be payment of fee in lieu happening in development services. Folks have actually had to get back in their car and drive over to Public Works to pay that fee in lieu. So can you speak to how, when we want to, with our city, I know we're in progress on fixing that, but the time that has taken has been somewhat frustrating to me. And so I just wanted to understand from a process improvement standpoint, I understood perhaps there's a committee that has to reconvene on new modules into the city work system. And as we all just think about better process improvement for efficiencies and the best use of taxpayer dollars and customer service and so forth, can you just speak to that specifically, but also just in a general sense, how that works so that we kind of have these modules and plugins that improve our process?
Sure.
Thank you.
Actually, today is the second birthday of the CityWorks PLL permits licensing application. The way the governance of that works is there is a small committee of department heads from myself, planning, water, codes, the primary vendor for that system, and the members of my staff that are the support members. There is a backlog of additional department functions, such as one of them is the Historic Commission, adding some functions for them that we have been working with the vendor to implement in the past 2 years. And so we're moving through those things. So when there are big changes, those items will go back through that committee. And I'll be honest, when we're in a situation now where we have an acting codes director, an acting planning director. That group has not met recently, and there hasn't necessarily been a need to, because we also have the ability, when there are issues that arise, such as the one you brought up, to work with that vendor to expedite some of these that have a priority. Unfortunately, while I was cognizant of the emails, I can't give you some direct information about kind of what happened in that specific circumstance. I can certainly get that for you, and I can certainly give you an update on, and my latest understanding is that is in works and is actually in testing.
Okay.
Now, and that the email that you sent certainly what is the word I'm looking for, expedited, or it got people moving a little bit faster than they would have been otherwise.
I appreciate that.
And so that was positive. And I can follow up after this meeting today with the latest status of exactly where that is, what is going on, and what's the expected release date for that.
I appreciate that. And I do certainly understand with 2 acting directors, but just so, you know, if we, from a budgetary perspective, think operationally, I mean, how much is the backlog for all the different modules that, I mean, because as departments identify these needs and efficiencies, right, that, I mean, those are processes that potentially save staff time for other people. I mean, that's where we need to really be leading, in my view. So do you, I mean, do you have, is it more about this committee, or is it more about staffing, or with the way the contract is set up with the PLL for CityWorks? I mean,
it's a very good question. So we actually, the backlog has been there for a time. Each of those items is currently in works, and we expect to have most of them done. And again, I can get you the timeline on what each of those things are. It's also what we found a matter of capacity for a vendor. That primary vendor for this system. So we're also doing some other things to look at what other opportunities. This vendor has been critical in creation of this system, development of this system, some customizations and configurations of this system. So so we also have to work with their schedule. I don't think money has been an issue with it, but I'm happy to give you an update, an update on where we are as we progress forward.
Right. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Council Lady. Councilman Rosenberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Durbin and team, for all you do. 2 things. Could you briefly update us on the status of the next iteration of Nashville.gov, and also talk about your efforts as they relate to information security?
That's 2 good questions. So the first question is, what's our status on the next iteration of Nashville.gov? We actually had the final 2 vendors in the procurement process in last week for personal interviews and overviews. A selection has been made. I think by procurement prohibits me from stating, because I'm not sure that all the final check boxes have been checked, but we are close to having that announced. We will, once that is announced, we will begin the contracting process with them, and hopefully very shortly thereafter start the process of development. A major part of the next iteration of Nashville.gov will be a community engagement cycle. It's built into the RFP, where we go to the community, we go have a number of community meetings, we look at what the community is interested in seeing and having it do. And what we found thus far in the analysis we've done is more interest in a service-based approach. When somebody comes to Nashville.gov, they look to be interested in doing something or getting a piece of information. And so that's how we'll start those communications. We don't have a project plan at this point in place, because again, we don't even have a contract signed at this point with the vendor. But we will certainly communicate that as we move forward, and all of you will be invited to those meetings. The second question was the status of our information security program. Kind of answered a part of that with Councilman Cooper. Again, it's this multi-layered approach. We have had some intense study of negative situations, such as the City of Atlanta experienced. We've been lucky to have some very deep insight into what the situation was in the City of Atlanta prior to that, the systems and lack of systems that they did and didn't have, and then what has being done to try to pull them out of the abyss that they are frankly in. With regard to their computing platforms. And so we've learned, we are we're not making any wholesale changes to our program, because we do have a solid program, but we are making tweaks to it. And again, you know, one of the things that I have to say, it's that understanding for all our department heads, all of our employees, is that the weak link typically is an individual. And right now, the key vector for any of these things are phishing emails. It's just, they're dangerous. The whole email, the concept of email, there's a lot in the media right now about the concept of email is broken. I agree with that. But right now we can just protect because it's a necessary business tool.
Thank you so much. Council Lady Johnson, Mina Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Director Durbin. And I am a big fan of Metro Nashville Network, and we can watch on YouTube. And then, you know, when we do have a live stream right now, and 24 hours later, you know, if we want to watch again, I'll be able to watch it. So I am sure 148 staff is responsible to uploading and so forth, and thank you so much. And especially this budget season, to be able to watch the committee is really critical, and I really appreciate your hard work.
Thank you so much.
One question I have is open data. We do have city open Nashville.gov open data portal.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you tell me how frequently it is updated?
So that's a great question. So there are pushing 100 different data sets on the open data portal, and each one of those data sets is unique, and some of them are updated on an annual basis. Others are updated on a nightly basis. For instance, the Metro Salaries database, data set, which is the #1 most accessed data set on the Open Data Portal, is updated in July, and it is planned that way. The documentation around the data set states that, whereas on the other side, Hub Nashville, the data set from calls and the use of the mobile app for Hub Nashville, that is updated on a nightly basis to give you and others the data instantly. So it really depends, and then Dr. Robin Mace, our Chief Data Officer, is responsible for leading the group of people, and it's a cross-departmental group of data experts in departments to help them understand that yes, the data needs to be updated, and we really don't have a whole lot of problem with that. People see the value, and finally, we automate as much of that as possible. We could never do a daily update on something like Hub Nashville data, so we automated that. That's the choice.
Thank you.
That's it, Council Lady. I didn't want you to think I was trying to cut you off earlier. Council Lady Johnson, Karen Johnson.
The two Johnsons here. Thank you, Chair Vercher. Keith, thank you so much for your fiscally lean and responsible budget. I think that is refreshing to see a director bring a budget that's fiscally lean and responsible, and you're to be commended for that, given the large scope of your operation. I am going to piggyback on some of the council members in terms of the upload time. After a meeting is held, whether that be a committee or the council meeting, I've had constituents who have just given me positive feedback that, hey, within 24 hours, that meeting is uploaded onto the Nashville.gov YouTube channel, and people are able to see it immediately. So I don't know what you did, because that used to take about 2 to 3 days to be able to hit that channel. Now it hits it within 24 hours, so I wanted to thank you for whatever change that you put in place to make that happen. The other thing is, on the new Nashville.gov platform that you're getting ready to unveil, will it have a more robust search capacity feature on there? Because many of my constituents still say they have a hard time finding different things. We have these new systems coming out which confuse people a little bit, and we as council members have to explain to them the differences. Hub Nashville, what Councilwoman Henderson is talking about, all of these different new features. Is there going to be some education when you're going out in your community outreach activities so that people can learn how to look at that simplicity of reaching different data through whatever vehicle they choose instead of out there trying to search and see which one works?
It's a very good question. And so One of the things to know is that every bit of the current Nashville.gov platform, including the Google search appliance that is currently in use, is going to be end of life and will be replaced. So one of the things that we'll be looking for very specifically is in these community meetings to hear, you know, how do you like to find information? Well, how do you like to search? When you do search, what do you expect to see? How do you expect to see data organized? Are there examples of other places or other sites where you like what comes out of those? So we'll take all of those things, bring that back and use that as input for the design of the new Nashville.gov. I will say with 60 plus departments, from police to public works, there is a lot of information. That said, our goal is to make an information architecture based on these community meetings and based on the industry knowledge of the people we are selecting to do a better job. Our goal is each time we do an iteration is to make it better and better, and that's certainly our goal this time as well.
Well, I look forward to receiving the calendar of those meetings so that I can make sure my constituents are informed on that. Also, what Councilman Davis asked about the Wi-Fi services, are those available still for the regional centers?
The regional
community centers?
Yes, my understand, yes.
Okay.
And I can
because you didn't mention that, so I didn't want to I wanted to make sure that didn't go away.
No, park sites are very important, and we work very closely with Director Odom and her staff to make sure that as much of the park space that we could cover with the limited funding we have, we wanted to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Council Lady. Councilman Bettany.
Yeah. Can I ask a question to Mr. Jameson?
Mr. Jameson?
Mr. Jameson, does the state law says that we have to deport just 1% of the people in Nashville, or it says that we have to deport everybody?
There's no percentage limitation.
So technically, this idea that this could be done gradually is really not, it's wishful thinking, right? We are required to execute this law immediately and to the whole extent of it, correct?
Well, as I commented yesterday, the concern from local government officials who have begun weighing in is that this is an unfunded mandate that imposes upon local law enforcement agencies the obligations for what has been traditionally federal law enforcement.
And this law was approved after the mayor submitted the budget to us. So there is nothing on this budget that helps us enforce that law, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I just want to make that point because I don't think my peers here in the council understand the gravity of the situation. So the question to you is, I didn't realize you have people that interact with the public. If you do, then I will want you to please add that to your budget to train them in immigration law so they don't unknowingly report or put in jeopardy people that are lawfully in the U.S. That's my request. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Bettany. Our last council member, Council Lady Hurd at Large.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Director Durbin. We really appreciate all that you do, and I absolutely love Hub Nashville.
Glad to hear that.
I was just wanting to ask about your demographics of your department, and if it's possible for you to share that information with me. You can do it later. You don't have to try to go through it now, but I'd appreciate
Absolutely.
it. Thank you.
We have all that pulled together and ready for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Council Lady. Seeing no other council members seeking recognition, Director Durbin, thank you so much. Also want to give you a special thanks for supporting the council staff and advising us as we implemented the new SharePoint this year as it relates to our budgetary process. So thank you again for that. And that concludes your budget hearing. We will now have the Board of Education. If you can begin making your way down. While they're doing that, we'd like to take this opportunity to thank the teachers and the staff that's out in the audience, that's here to show their support of the budgetary process.